Have you ever wondered why some people can let go of stress, anger, or sadness in an instant, while others stay stuck in their emotions for hours, even days? Do you feel like your thoughts are controlling you instead of the other way around? And most importantly, what if you could change your mind instantly, right here, right now? Imagine how powerful your life could become if you mastered this skill. Picture this: you're driving to work, and someone cuts you off. Your heart races, anger bubbles up, and you spend the next hour replaying the moment in your head, feeling more frustrated by the second. But what if, instead of staying angry, you could shift your mind in a heartbeat and feel calm, focused, and at peace again? Sounds impossible? It's not. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore transformative ideas inspired by Buddhism to help you take charge of your life. In today's video, we're diving deep into the art of changing your mind instantly. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. So, if you're finding this content helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It makes a huge difference and helps us bring you more life-changing insights. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a flowing river, constantly changing and moving. It's never stuck in one place unless we build a dam with our thoughts. This means that whatever you're feeling, stress, anger, sadness, it's not permanent. It's just a moment, and with the right tools, you can release it and move forward. One of the key principles of Buddhism is understanding that we are not our thoughts. Just like clouds pass through the sky without affecting its vastness, your thoughts can come and go without defining who you are. Recognizing this truth is the first step to freeing yourself from mental traps. Another powerful insight is the practice of mindfulness. When you're fully present in the moment, you stop feeding your negative thoughts. For example, instead of replaying that frustrating encounter in traffic, take a deep breath and focus on the present. Notice the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun, or the rhythm of your breath. This simple shift can instantly calm your mind. The beauty of this practice is that it's available to you anytime, anywhere. You don't need fancy tools or years of experience. All it takes is the willingness to pause, breathe, and refocus. Over time, these small moments of mindfulness add up, transforming the way you think, feel, and live. As you continue on this journey, you'll discover that changing your mind isn't about suppressing your emotions or ignoring reality. It's about choosing how you respond to life's challenges. Instead of reacting with frustration, you can respond with clarity. Instead of feeling stuck, you can move forward with purpose. Stay tuned as we explore more insights and techniques in the upcoming parts of this series. With practice, you'll unlock the incredible power within you to change your mind instantly and create a life of peace, happiness, and freedom. The root of mental patterns. My dear listener, let us begin by asking, have you ever noticed how certain thoughts seem to repeat themselves in your mind, like an old song stuck on repeat? Why do some patterns of fear, worry, or doubt cling to us so tightly, while others drift away like a breeze? These patterns, these grooves in the mind, have a source, a root, and understanding this root is the first step toward freedom. The mind is like a garden. Every thought is a seed. Some seeds grow into beautiful flowers, bringing peace and joy. Others become weeds, choking the beauty and spreading chaos. If we wish to tend this garden wisely, we must first know which seeds we are planting, and more importantly, which ones we are watering. In Buddhism, the root of mental patterns is often described as attachment, aversion, and ignorance. These are the three poisons that keep us trapped in cycles of suffering. Attachment is the craving for what we desire, clinging tightly to it as if our happiness depends on it. Aversion is the resistance to what we dislike, pushing it away with anger or fear. Ignorance is the blindness to the true nature of reality, seeing things not as they are, but as we wish or fear them to be. Let us take a simple example. Imagine you are scrolling through your phone. You see a beautiful picture and a thought arises. I wish my life looked like that. This is attachment. Then, you scroll further and see something unpleasant, and another thought arises. I can't stand people like this. This is aversion. Finally, you continue scrolling without questioning why you are doing it, feeling restless and unfulfilled. This is ignorance. Do you see how these three poisons creep into the smallest moments of your life? They shape your habits, your reactions, your very way of thinking. But here is the truth. These patterns are not permanent. They are not who you are. They are simply the result of seeds you have watered over time. Now, let us reflect on how these patterns form. Every time you react to a situation in the same way, you create a groove in your mind, like a path worn down by footsteps. The more you walk this path, the deeper it becomes, until it feels automatic. For example, if you often respond to stress with anger, this becomes your habitual reaction. But habits, no matter how deeply ingrained, can be changed. The Buddha taught that awareness is the key to breaking these patterns. When you become aware of your thoughts, you step outside of them. Instead of being swept away by anger, you can observe it. Instead of drowning in fear, you can notice its presence. This simple act of observation weakens the power of the pattern. Take a moment now to sit quietly and bring your attention to your breath. As you breathe in, notice the sensation of air entering your body. As you breathe out, notice the release. If a thought arises, observe it without judgment. Say to yourself, here's a thought. Then let it go, like a leaf floating down a stream. Through this practice, you begin to see the root of your mental patterns. You start to notice how certain thoughts trigger emotions, how emotions lead to actions, and how actions create your reality. This is the chain of causation, known in Buddhism as dependent origination. By breaking the chain at its weakest link, awareness, you free yourself from the cycle. But awareness alone is not enough. You must also plant new seeds. When you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, replace it with a positive one. If a thought of anger arises, counter it with compassion. If fear appears, respond with courage. This is not an overnight process, but with patience and practice, the garden of your mind will begin to bloom with peace and joy. Consider the story of a monk who was once asked how he overcame his anger. He replied, "I did not fight it. I understood it. I watched it arise like a storm rolling in, and I watched it pass like a storm rolling out. In time, the storms grew weaker until they no longer came." The root of your mental patterns lies in your reactions. When you react unconsciously, you strengthen the pattern. When you respond with awareness, you weaken it. And when you act with intention, you create new patterns, ones that lead to freedom, not suffering. In your daily life, begin to notice the moments when your mind slips into old patterns. Pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this reaction aligned with the person I wish to be? These questions are like tools, helping you dig out the roots of suffering and plant seeds of peace. The journey of changing your mental patterns is not easy, but it is simple. It begins with awareness, continues with understanding, and blossoms into transformation. Remember, the mind is not your enemy. It is a tool, and like any tool, it can be shaped, sharpened, and mastered. In the next part of this series, we will delve deeper into the nature of thoughts themselves, where they come from, how they arise, and how you can transform them into powerful allies on your journey toward freedom. Until then, let the seed of awareness grow within you. With each breath, with each moment, you are one step closer to unlocking the limitless potential of your mind. Understanding the nature of thoughts. The mind is like the sky, vast, open, and clear. Yet, clouds will pass through it. These clouds are your thoughts. They come and go, without lasting forever. The problem is not the clouds themselves, but our attachment to them. We often hold on to them, giving them more power than they really have. Have you ever noticed how your mind creates stories? You may be sitting quietly, and suddenly, a thought arises. What if something bad happens? And just like that, your mind spirals into worry, imagining worst-case scenarios. But if you stop and observe, you'll see that the worry is nothing more than a passing thought, a cloud in the sky. It has no substance, no real power, unless you let it take root. In Buddhism, we learn to observe our thoughts without judgment. Think of them as waves on the surface of the ocean. They rise, they fall, and they disappear. They are not the ocean itself, but merely the surface. You are the ocean. Your true nature is calm and vast, but your thoughts are like ripples on the surface. When you don't identify with those ripples, you begin to see their true nature. They are impermanent, transient, and without lasting substance. When you realize this truth, you understand that thoughts are not your enemy. They are simply visitors passing through your mind. If you don't attach to them, they lose their power over you. Instead of reacting to every thought that comes your way, you can choose to simply let them pass. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water flows gently, and leaves float on the surface. You don't try to stop the leaves from floating by. You simply watch them as they pass, and you let them go. This is how you can relate to your thoughts. Each thought, whether good or bad, is like a seed planted in the soil of your mind. If you water it, it grows. If you ignore it, it withers away. But most people, without realizing it, water the negative thoughts. They replay them, overanalyze them, and give them more energy. This is what causes suffering. You may think that by holding on to these thoughts, you can control the situation, but in reality, you are only feeding the very thing that causes your pain. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you receive an email that makes you angry. You could feel your chest tighten, your mind racing with irritation. How could they say that to me? Your mind might scream. But if you stop for a moment and simply observe your thoughts, you'll realize that they are just that, thoughts. They are not facts, and they are certainly not the truth. The more you attach to them, the more they grow. But if you pause and allow them to pass, you will find that they lose their grip on you. The anger fades, and peace returns. This is the power of mindfulness, the ability to observe without becoming attached. It's the ability to sit quietly, to be aware of your thoughts without being controlled by them. When you practice mindfulness, you stop identifying with your thoughts. You stop thinking, I am angry, or I am sad. Instead, you begin to say, I am experiencing anger, or I am feeling sadness. There is a difference. When you identify with your feelings, they become you. But when you observe them, you create space between your true self and your emotions. Now, let's delve deeper. Every thought you have is connected to something from the past or the future. You may think about a conversation you had yesterday, or worry about something that may happen tomorrow. But the present moment, the now, is where your true power lies. You can only change your mind in the present. The past and future are not within your control. The only time you can act is right now. And this is where Buddhism teaches us the greatest wisdom. The present moment is the only place where change happens. When you live in the past, you relive your mistakes, regrets, and unhealed wounds. When you live in the future, you are constantly in fear, worrying about things that may or may not happen. But when you are present, you free yourself from both the past and the future. You are here, now, and that is where you have the power to transform your mind. Let's take a moment to reflect. If you observe your thoughts, you will notice a pattern. You will see that your mind often jumps from one thought to another. You might think about your family, then your job, then what you're going to have for dinner. Your thoughts are scattered, constantly moving. This is the nature of the mind. It is not still. It is always in motion. But just because your mind is moving doesn't mean you have to follow every thought. You can simply let them come and go, like clouds drifting across the sky. This is where the practice of meditation comes in. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts. That is impossible. It's about observing them without getting caught up in them. When you meditate, you train your mind to notice the thoughts without reacting. You begin to see them for what they truly are, passing phenomena. This realization brings you peace. When you begin to see your thoughts as fleeting, you start to understand that you are not controlled by them. You are the observer, not the thought itself. This is a profound shift in perspective. It's like watching a movie. You are the audience, not the characters. The movie plays out, but it doesn't affect who you are. Similarly, your thoughts play out in your mind, but they do not define you. This understanding is not just an intellectual concept. It's a practice. The more you practice mindfulness and meditation, the more you experience the truth of these teachings. You begin to notice that your thoughts, no matter how powerful they may seem, are just temporary visitors. They don't define you. They don't control you. And most importantly, they don't have to dictate how you feel or act. In the next part, we will explore how to break free from the attachments that keep us stuck in these patterns. For now, remember this: you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they arise. When you realize this, you unlock the power to change your mind instantly. You take back control, and you step into the peaceful, expansive nature of your true self. Breaking free from attachments. The mind is like a bird that flies across the sky. It moves freely, seeking new things, new experiences, and new thoughts. But sometimes, like a bird that grasps onto a branch, the mind holds onto certain things, attachments. These attachments can be to our thoughts, emotions, people, or even material things. But just like the bird that holds too tightly to the branch, we are weighed down by these attachments, unable to soar freely. In the teachings of Buddhism, attachments are seen as one of the root causes of suffering. We often attach ourselves to things or people, thinking they will bring us happiness. But no matter how much we hold on, these things are temporary. Just as clouds in the sky change shape and disappear, the things we cling to in life are always changing. And when they are no longer there, we feel lost, hurt, or incomplete. This is the nature of attachment. It gives us the illusion of stability, but in truth, it keeps us stuck. Let's pause for a moment and look at an example. Imagine a person who is very attached to their job. They believe that their identity and happiness come from their success at work. Every day, they put in long hours, sacrificing time with family, health, and even their own peace of mind. But one day, they are passed over for a promotion, or their company downsizes. The person feels devastated because their sense of self was tied to that job. They experience deep pain, not just because of the loss, but because they attached their entire being to something that was always temporary. This is the first lesson. Nothing in this world is permanent. Attachments to external things, be it a job, a person, or material possessions, only lead to suffering because they are not permanent. When we can accept that things come and go, we can begin to loosen our grip on them. It's not that we shouldn't enjoy life's pleasures, but we must understand that they are not the source of our true happiness. Our happiness must come from within, not from what we have or don't have. But how can we break free from these attachments? The first step is awareness. The next time you find yourself clinging to something, ask yourself, why do I hold on to this so tightly? Is it because you fear losing it? Is it because you think it defines who you are? Or is it simply because it gives you comfort, even if that comfort is fleeting? By becoming aware of the attachment, you can start to see the truth, that your happiness is not dependent on anything external. Once you've recognized the attachment, the next step is to practice detachment. Detachment does not mean that you stop caring. It simply means that you are no longer controlled by your desire for something or someone. You can care deeply, but without expecting that your happiness depends on them. In Buddhism, this is often referred to as non-attachment. You can love, but you are not attached to the outcome. You can work hard, but you are not attached to the result. Non-attachment is not an easy practice. It requires mindfulness and patience. It requires you to be present with the moment and to let go of the need to control. When you let go of attachment, you are not giving up on life. You are giving yourself the freedom to experience life without the fear of losing it. You are learning to flow with life, like a river that moves smoothly without clinging to any rock or obstacle in its path. A simple practice to help you with detachment is meditation. When you sit in meditation, you are not trying to change anything or make anything happen. You simply observe your thoughts without judgment. If a thought comes into your mind, don't hold on to it. Let it come, and then let it go. You'll notice that when you practice letting go of your thoughts, it becomes easier to let go of attachments in your everyday life. The more you practice, the freer you will become. One of the most powerful ways to break free from attachments is by practicing gratitude. When you are grateful for what you have, you stop needing more. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have. It opens your eyes to the beauty that is already present in your life. And when you are truly grateful for what you have, you no longer feel the need to cling to it because you are at peace with the present moment. Another way to let go of attachments is to embrace the impermanence of life. In Buddhism, there is a concept called anicca, which means impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. Our thoughts, emotions, and circumstances are not fixed. They come and go like waves in the ocean. When you can accept the impermanence of all things, you begin to understand that nothing is worth clinging to because it will eventually change or disappear. This understanding brings a deep sense of peace and freedom. The Buddha once said, "The root of suffering is attachment." And it's true. When we attach ourselves to things, we set ourselves up for disappointment because nothing in life stays the same. But when we let go of our attachments, we experience true freedom. We no longer need to grasp for things outside ourselves to feel whole. We realize that everything we need is already within us. It's important to remember that breaking free from attachments does not mean becoming indifferent or cold-hearted. You can still love deeply, work passionately, and enjoy life fully. But you are no longer controlled by the need to possess or control. You are no longer afraid of losing what you have because you know that everything is temporary. The more you practice letting go, the more peaceful and content you will feel. When you are attached to something, you are constantly thinking about it, worrying about it, or trying to hold on to it. This takes up mental energy and creates stress. When you let go of attachment, you free up that energy. You become lighter, more peaceful, and more present. Life becomes easier because you are no longer weighed down by the burden of attachment. The journey of breaking free from attachments is not an overnight process. It takes time, patience, and practice. But every step you take brings you closer to freedom. Every time you let go of something, whether it's a thought, an emotion, or a material possession, you are taking a step toward liberation. And the more you practice, the more effortless it becomes. As you begin to break free from attachments, you will notice that your life becomes less stressful and more joyful. You will find that you are no longer dependent on external things for happiness. You can enjoy life more fully because you are no longer trying to control or possess it. You are free to experience life as it is, in its natural flow. In conclusion, breaking free from attachments is one of the most powerful ways to change your mind and your life. When you let go of the need to control, you allow yourself to be truly free. You stop chasing after things that will never bring lasting happiness, and you start living from a place of inner peace. With practice, you will discover that true happiness comes not from what you have, but from within. The more you let go, the more you gain. And in the end, you will find that freedom is not something to be sought outside yourself, but something that has always been within. The power of awareness. In the quiet of the present moment, there is a secret waiting for you. It's not hidden in the future or in the past, but right here, right now. This secret is called awareness. Many people walk through life without truly seeing or feeling what is around them, caught in the web of their thoughts, beliefs, and reactions. But when you awaken to awareness, everything changes. Let's begin by understanding what awareness really means. It's not about thinking or analyzing. It's about simply noticing. It's the act of being fully present in each moment, without judgment, without trying to change anything. It's like standing in front of a painting. You don't need to judge the colors or shapes. You just observe. The same applies to your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to instant change. Think about the last time you were upset. Maybe you were angry, frustrated, or anxious. Did you notice how your body felt in that moment? Did your chest tighten? Was your mind racing? Did you feel overwhelmed? When you begin to cultivate awareness, you start noticing these physical and mental sensations as they arise. You catch them in the act, like a thief before they have a chance to steal your peace. This is where true power lies. The moment you notice a negative thought or emotion, you gain control over it. You can choose not to react. You can choose to breathe deeply and let it pass. This simple act of noticing, of becoming aware, is the first step in changing your mind instantly. In Buddhism, awareness is often called mindfulness. It's the practice of being fully present in whatever you are doing, whether you're washing dishes, walking, or talking to a friend. But mindfulness is not just about being aware of external actions. It's also about being aware of your internal state. You are aware of how your mind moves, how your emotions shift, how your body responds to situations. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Notice the feeling of the air entering your lungs. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Are there any thoughts in your mind? Are there any feelings in your body? Just notice. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. This simple practice of awareness is the foundation of everything else you will learn. Once you are aware, you can step back from your emotions, thoughts, and reactions. You no longer have to be controlled by them. Instead, you become the observer, the one who decides how to respond. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we are not aware. When we react mindlessly to situations, we cause ourselves pain. But when we bring awareness into our lives, we begin to see things as they truly are, without distortion. This clarity gives us the ability to choose our responses rather than reacting out of habit or impulse. Consider the example of a river. When you first look at it, you see the flow of water, moving quickly, with many twists and turns. But if you sit quietly and watch, you begin to notice every ripple, every movement. The same is true with your thoughts and emotions. At first, they may seem chaotic and uncontrollable, like the rushing river. But when you become aware, you can start to see each thought as a small ripple, something temporary that will pass. You don't need to get caught in the current. Awareness also helps you break free from old patterns. Think of a path through the forest. If you walk the same path every day, it becomes deeply worn into the ground. The same is true for your thoughts. If you constantly replay the same negative thoughts or emotions, they become habitual, and you start walking the same mental path over and over again. But when you practice awareness, you begin to see the path for what it is, a repeated habit. And with that realization, you can choose to step off the path, creating a new one. Now, how does awareness allow you to change your mind instantly? When you are aware, you are not swept away by your thoughts or emotions. You don't get lost in them. Instead, you can recognize when a negative thought or emotion arises and, in that moment, choose not to react. You can take a step back and let it pass. You don't have to get caught in the storm. For example, let's say you're feeling angry. You notice the sensation of heat in your body, the clenched jaw, the tightness in your chest. In the past, you might have let that anger control you, maybe saying something hurtful or reacting in a way you regret later. But now, with awareness, you notice the anger without judgment. You don't need to act on it. You simply observe it. You breathe, and the anger begins to dissolve on its own. This is how awareness leads to instant change. The moment you are aware of your thoughts and emotions, you can create space between yourself and them. You no longer have to be their victim. You can choose how to respond, how to think, and how to feel. Awareness also helps you let go of the need to control everything. Many of us try to control our thoughts, our feelings, and our circumstances. We believe that if we can just control everything, we'll be happy. But the truth is, the more we try to control, the more we create resistance and struggle. Awareness allows you to let go of that resistance. Instead of trying to control your emotions, you simply observe them, and in doing so, they lose their power over you. Another important aspect of awareness is self-compassion. When you become aware of your thoughts and emotions, you may notice negative patterns or judgments about yourself. Perhaps you think, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be able to change." But when you are aware, you can also notice these self-critical thoughts without attaching to them. You can respond with kindness and understanding. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm a failure," you can notice the thought and say to yourself, "This is just a thought. It's not who I am." With awareness, you can begin to replace negative self-talk with compassion and encouragement. This shift in mindset is one of the most powerful ways to change your mind instantly. Awareness is not a one-time practice. It's something you cultivate every day. The more you practice being present, the more natural it becomes. And over time, you will notice that your reactions to life's challenges become calmer and more centered. You will no longer be at the mercy of your thoughts and emotions. Instead, you will be the master of your mind. The beauty of awareness is that it's available to you at all times. You don't need special conditions, tools, or a quiet space. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you can practice awareness. Whether you're sitting in silence, walking down the street, or even in the midst of a challenging conversation, awareness can be your anchor, helping you stay grounded and calm. As you continue to practice awareness, you will notice how it transforms your life. Your relationships will improve as you become more present and attentive to others. Your stress levels will decrease as you learn to let go of unnecessary worries. And most importantly, you will experience a deeper sense of peace, knowing that you are in control of your thoughts, not the other way around. In the next part, we will dive deeper into how awareness can help you transform negative emotions into positive ones, creating lasting change in your life. But for now, Take a moment to reflect on the power of awareness and how you can bring it into your daily life. With awareness, everything is possible. Transforming negative emotions. In the quiet of the mind, there is peace. But sometimes, our emotions rise like waves, tossing us around. We feel anger, fear, sadness, and frustration. These emotions can feel powerful, like they are controlling us. But what if we told you that you don't have to be ruled by them? What if you could transform these negative emotions into something peaceful, something powerful? The first step in transforming negative emotions is understanding where they come from. Emotions don't just appear out of nowhere. They are often a result of our thoughts, beliefs, and attachments. When something doesn't go the way we expect, or when someone hurts us, we might react with anger or sadness. We can trace this back to a thought we had, a belief that things should be different. I should not be treated this way. This isn't fair. These thoughts stir up emotions, and those emotions can lead to actions that we might later regret. But in the stillness of the present moment, we have the power to break the chain. If you notice yourself feeling angry or upset, take a deep breath. Acknowledge the emotion. Don't run away from it, but don't let it control you either. Sit with it for a moment, like a cloud passing through the sky. Emotions are like clouds. They come and go. They don't define us. In Buddhism, we learn that everything is impermanent. The feelings of anger, sadness, or fear that rise in your heart are not forever. Just like the sun comes out after a storm, your inner peace can shine through again once you allow these emotions to pass. It's important to remember that you are not your emotions. You are the one who observes them. To transform negative emotions, we must first practice awareness. Awareness is the key to understanding what is happening inside of us. When we feel a negative emotion arise, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? This simple act of observing your emotions creates a space between you and the feeling itself. Instead of being overwhelmed by it, you can step back and see it for what it truly is, a temporary visitor in your mind. Once you become aware of the emotion, you can choose how to respond. This is where the magic of transformation happens. In Buddhism, we practice the art of non-attachment. This means that instead of holding on tightly to our anger, sadness, or fear, we let go of our attachment to them. We allow the feeling to rise, but we don't cling to it. We acknowledge it and then let it pass, just like a leaf floating down a stream. Another way to transform negative emotions is through compassion. When you're angry at someone, take a moment to practice compassion, not just for them, but for yourself as well. Remember, we all have our struggles, our moments of weakness. By understanding that everyone is doing their best with the tools they have, you open your heart to kindness. When you transform your anger into compassion, you free yourself from the burden of negative emotions. Meditation is a powerful tool in this process. When you meditate, you create a peaceful space in your mind. This space allows you to see your emotions clearly without getting swept away by them. Start with a simple meditation practice. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. When thoughts or emotions arise, don't chase them. Let them come and go like clouds. Over time, you'll develop the ability to observe your emotions without becoming entangled in them. One powerful practice in Buddhism for transforming negative emotions is loving-kindness meditation, also known as metta meditation. In this practice, you focus on sending love and compassion to yourself, and then extend that love to others. Start by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be peaceful," "May I be free from suffering." Then, expand this to others. Send loving kindness to a friend, a stranger, or even someone you are having conflict with. As you practice this, you begin to shift your perspective. You realize that we all share the same human struggles. When you feel love for others, the grip of anger and fear loosens. In every moment, you have the power to choose your response to negative emotions. When you're caught in the storm of anger or fear, remember that you can stop and breathe. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? How can I learn from it? By approaching your emotions with curiosity, rather than resistance, you begin to transform them. Buddhism also teaches that suffering is part of life. We can't avoid suffering, but we can choose how we respond to it. When you experience pain or sadness, instead of fighting it, Ask yourself, what can I learn from this moment? This mindset transforms suffering from something to fear into an opportunity for growth. Another way to shift negative emotions is to focus on gratitude. It's easy to focus on what's wrong in our lives, the things that frustrate us, the people who upset us, the events that didn't go our way. But if we shift our focus to gratitude, we open our hearts to a different experience. Take a moment every day to reflect on what you are grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face or the kindness of a friend. Gratitude shifts your mindset from lack to abundance, from frustration to peace. Over time, as you practice awareness, compassion, and gratitude, you'll notice that negative emotions no longer have the same power over you. Instead of reacting with anger or fear, you'll respond with calm and clarity. You'll begin to see emotions for what they truly are, temporary sensations that pass with time. Remember, transformation doesn't happen overnight. Just like a seed needs time to grow into a tree, your ability to transform negative emotions will deepen with practice. Be patient with yourself, and know that every step you take towards awareness and compassion brings you closer to inner peace. When you let go of the need to control your emotions, they begin to lose their grip on you. Emotions are like waves. They rise, crest, and fall. They don't last forever. By practicing awareness and non-attachment, you can allow them to come and go without being swept away by their force. In the stillness of your mind, you are not your emotions. You are the peaceful observer of them. And with this understanding, you can transform your negative emotions into tools for growth, compassion, and peace. Cultivating mindful presence. Imagine, for a moment, you are standing by a river. The water is flowing gently, and you watch as each drop of water moves by. You are fully focused on the flow, not thinking about the past or the future, just observing the present moment with calmness. This, my friend, is the essence of mindful presence. It is the art of being fully aware and connected to the here and now, without being distracted by thoughts or emotions. In our busy lives, we often find ourselves thinking about what has already happened, or worrying about what might happen. We rush from one task to the next, without truly experiencing any of it. But the practice of mindfulness teaches us to step away from this constant stream of thoughts and live in the moment. By doing so, we can change our mind and our perspective instantly, allowing us to face any situation with calmness and clarity. Mindfulness is like a gentle reminder to slow down. It teaches us to pay attention to the present, to listen deeply, and to be aware of our surroundings. It's about focusing on what is happening right now, not in some distant memory or future worry. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. We realize that we are not the thoughts that arise in our minds. We are the awareness that watches them. Imagine you are having a difficult day. You feel stressed, frustrated, or maybe even overwhelmed. Instead of getting lost in those feelings, take a moment to pause. Breathe deeply and notice what is happening inside you. What thoughts are you having? What emotions are rising? Simply observe them, without judgment. You don't need to react to them. You don't need to fix anything. Just be aware. This simple act of awareness can shift your entire mindset, allowing you to let go of unnecessary stress and return to a place of peace. The key to cultivating mindful presence is practice. It doesn't happen overnight, but with time, you will begin to notice the subtle shifts in your mind. You will become more aware of your thoughts and more able to choose how to respond to them. You will stop reacting automatically to life's challenges and start responding with intention and awareness. Take a moment now to notice your breath. Is it fast or slow? Shallow or deep? Just observe it without trying to change anything. Notice how your body feels. Are there any areas of tension? Are your shoulders relaxed or tight? This simple practice of bringing awareness to your breath and body helps you anchor yourself in the present moment. It takes you out of your head and into your body, where you can experience life fully. Mindful presence also helps you develop compassion for yourself and others. When you're present, you are not judging or criticizing. You are simply observing. And when you observe without judgment, you begin to see things more clearly. You understand that everyone, including yourself, is doing their best with the knowledge and resources they have at the moment. You develop a deeper sense of patience, kindness, and understanding. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anytime, anywhere. You don't need special conditions or tools. You can be mindful while walking, eating, or even washing dishes. The key is to bring your full attention to whatever you are doing and to do it with awareness. For example, the next time you eat a meal, slow down and notice the taste, texture, and smell of the food. Pay attention to each bite and feel grateful for the nourishment it provides. Instead of rushing through the meal, savor each moment. This simple act of mindfulness can transform an ordinary experience into something truly meaningful. As you practice mindfulness, you begin to notice how often you are caught up in thoughts about the past or the future. You might realize how often you miss the present moment because your mind is elsewhere. But don't be discouraged. This is completely normal. The mind naturally drifts, but the key is to gently guide it back to the present. With practice, you will get better at staying present, and the moments of peace will become more frequent. Mindfulness also teaches us to accept things as they are. In life, we cannot control everything. We cannot control the weather, the actions of others, or the challenges that come our way. But we can control how we respond. And when we are mindful, we are able to respond with a calm and open heart, rather than reacting out of fear, frustration, or anger. One of the most powerful aspects of mindful presence is its ability to transform difficult situations. When you are fully present, you can approach even the most challenging moments with clarity and calmness. You can step back from the emotional charge of the situation and respond with wisdom and compassion. Instead of being overwhelmed by stress, you can remain steady, grounded, and peaceful. This doesn't mean that difficult emotions won't arise. They will. But when you are mindful, you are able to observe these emotions without being consumed by them. You can recognize them for what they are, temporary feelings that will eventually pass. This realization helps you let go of the grip that negative emotions have on your mind. The practice of mindfulness also helps you develop a deeper sense of gratitude. When you are present, you begin to appreciate the small moments of life. The warmth of the sun, the sound of birds singing, the feeling of a cool breeze on your skin. These simple moments, often overlooked, become sources of joy and peace. Mindful presence is not about trying to achieve something or fix anything. It's about being fully present with what is. It's about accepting the present moment exactly as it is, without trying to change it. When you embrace the present, you create space for change. You open yourself to new possibilities, and you become more flexible in your thinking and actions. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you will notice that your mind becomes clearer. You will be less distracted by random thoughts, and more able to focus on what matters. Your decisions will become more thoughtful, and your actions more intentional. You will be more present with the people in your life, and more connected to your own inner wisdom. Through the practice of mindful presence, you begin to change your mind instantly. You learn to shift from stress to peace, from confusion to clarity, and from fear to courage. This is the power of mindfulness. It gives you the ability to transform your mind and your life, moment by moment. Remember, the present moment is all we truly have. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. But in the here and now, we have the power to choose how we respond, how we feel, and how we live. By cultivating mindful presence, we can change our minds instantly and create a life of peace, joy, and freedom. Shifting perspective through gratitude. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools available to us. It can change our entire perspective on life, just like turning a page in a book. Imagine, for a moment, that every day you wake up, you are handed a blank page. How do you fill it? Do you focus on what's missing, or do you fill it with gratitude for what's already here? We often forget that our minds are like magnets. They attract whatever we focus on. If we focus on problems, we attract more problems. If we focus on what we lack, we create a feeling of emptiness. But when we shift our attention to gratitude, something magical happens. Gratitude acts like a magnet for more positive things. It shifts our energy and perspective in a way that nothing else can. Let's take a moment to consider the simple act of waking up. When you open your eyes in the morning, do you immediately think about the things you wish were different? Or do you take a moment to be grateful for the very fact that you are alive, breathing, and able to experience the day ahead? This is the starting point of gratitude. recognizing the miracle of life itself. Gratitude doesn't need to be reserved for the big, grand moments. It can be found in the smallest of things. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds singing, a kind smile from a stranger. These little moments, when noticed and appreciated, have the power to shift your entire mood. Gratitude helps you step out of the cycle of wanting and into the space of appreciating. Buddhism teaches us to live in the present moment, and gratitude is one of the most effective ways to do that. When you practice gratitude, you are grounding yourself in the here and now. You stop focusing on the past or worrying about the future. You begin to see the beauty in what is already present, just as it is. The more you practice this, the more you will notice the abundance around you. Consider a flower. It doesn't strive to be more than it is. It simply grows, radiates its beauty, and shares its fragrance with the world. When you cultivate gratitude, you become like that flower. You stop striving for things that don't bring lasting joy, and instead, you learn to embrace what's already here. This is the essence of true contentment, realizing that everything you need is already within you and around you. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the challenges in your life. It's easy to get caught in the trap of complaining, isn't it? Life is full of difficulties, disappointments, and struggles. But what if you could look at these challenges from a different perspective? Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you could see them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge is a lesson in disguise, a chance to learn something new about yourself. Gratitude allows you to see this. When you practice gratitude, you stop focusing on what's wrong, and you start focusing on what's right. You begin to recognize the lessons that every experience, even the painful ones, has to offer. Just as a tree grows stronger in the face of strong winds, you too grow stronger through the challenges you face. And with gratitude, you learn to embrace these challenges rather than resist them. Let's talk about the power of a simple gratitude practice. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a long list or a perfect environment. Just start with a few moments each day. When you wake up, take a deep breath and think of 3 things you are grateful for. It could be something as simple as the air you breathe or the food you eat. Over time, this practice will start to transform your mindset. You'll begin to notice how much you have instead of focusing on what you don't. Gratitude also has a profound effect on your relationships. When you focus on what you appreciate in others, rather than what frustrates you, your connections with them deepen. Think about the people in your life who have shown you kindness, love, and support. How often do you take a moment to express your gratitude for them? A simple thank you can strengthen bonds and make both you and the other person feel valued. One of the most powerful forms of gratitude is the kind you give to yourself. Often, we are our harshest critics, focusing on our flaws and mistakes. But what if you could look at yourself with the same kindness and appreciation that you show others? When you practice self-gratitude, you shift the internal dialogue from criticism to compassion. This shift can completely change the way you see yourself and your place in the world. In Buddhism, there is a saying, "When the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves." Gratitude helps purify the mind. When you are grateful, your mind is lighter, clearer, and more focused on the present moment. You stop carrying the weight of past regrets or future worries. Instead, you live fully in the moment, appreciating all that is around you. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties of life. It simply means that you choose to see beyond them. You choose to recognize the small blessings that often go unnoticed. When you practice gratitude, you start to see the beauty in the ordinary. The simplicity of a cup of tea, the warmth of a hug, the peace of a quiet moment. These are the things that make life rich, and they are available to you at every moment. As you continue your practice, you may find that your perspective begins to shift on a deeper level. Gratitude opens the door to contentment. It teaches you to be satisfied with what is, rather than constantly striving for something more. This doesn't mean giving up on your goals or dreams. It simply means finding peace with where you are right now. Gratitude helps you to realize that you are enough, just as you are. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called beginner's mind. It's the ability to approach life with fresh eyes, as if you were seeing everything for the first time. Gratitude is closely tied to this practice. When you cultivate gratitude, you begin to see the world with the eyes of a beginner, full of wonder, awe, and appreciation. Every moment becomes an opportunity to experience life in its fullness. In summary, gratitude is a transformative practice that can shift your entire perspective on life. It allows you to see the beauty in the present moment, embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and connect more deeply with others. The more you practice, the more you'll find that life itself is a gift, one that is filled with countless blessings, waiting for you to notice. So, take a moment now. What are you grateful for? Notice how that feeling of gratitude makes you feel. Let it fill your heart and mind. This is the power of gratitude. The more you practice it, the more it will change your life. Gratitude is not just a practice. It's a way of living. It's a lens through which you can view the world in a completely different way. And when you shift your perspective through gratitude, you unlock the ability to change your mind instantly, to transform your entire experience of life, creating a new mental pathway. The mind is like a garden. It grows whatever you plant in it. If you plant seeds of anger, negativity, and worry, those will grow and take root in your thoughts. But if you choose to plant seeds of peace, love, and joy, those will grow too. It all comes down to what you decide to cultivate within yourself. In Buddhism, the practice of training the mind is essential. Our thoughts are not fixed. They are fluid, like water that flows and changes shape. But to direct that flow, we must understand how our minds work and take responsibility for what we plant and nurture. Creating a new mental pathway begins with awareness. The first step is to recognize the thoughts that cause you distress. Look closely at what you are thinking. Are they helpful thoughts? Or are they harmful? Many of us go through life on autopilot, allowing thoughts to come and go without much attention. This is like walking through a forest without noticing the trees or the path beneath our feet. But if you want to change your mind, you must first become aware of where you are walking. In Buddhism, we call this mindfulness. Being fully present with each moment, observing your thoughts without judgment, and allowing them to be what they are. Awareness is the key to breaking old patterns. Once you start noticing your thoughts, you begin to see the habitual ways your mind operates. Maybe you find yourself worrying about the future or holding on to resentment from the past. These mental habits shape how you respond to life, but they can be changed. Just as you can break a bad habit with a little effort, you can create a new mental pathway by consciously choosing a different way of thinking. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you are faced with a challenge at work. Your first reaction might be to feel overwhelmed or stressed. Your mind might race with thoughts like, "I can't do this," or "this is too hard." These thoughts create a pathway in your mind, reinforcing feelings of doubt and fear. But instead of following that path, you can choose a different route. You can stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, "I am capable. This is an opportunity to grow." In that moment, you have created a new pathway in your mind, one that leads to confidence and calm instead of fear and anxiety. Creating a new mental pathway takes practice. It's like building a new road in the forest. The more you walk down that path, the clearer and easier it becomes to travel. In the beginning, it might feel difficult. You may slip back into old ways of thinking, just as a traveler might stumble off a new trail. But with patience and consistency, the new path becomes your natural route. The Buddha taught that the mind is like a charioteer, and our thoughts are the horses. If the charioteer is wise, the horses will follow the right path. But if the charioteer is careless, the horses may run wild, leading us into trouble. We must take control of our thoughts and guide them in the direction we want to go. This is how we create new mental pathways. One powerful way to create a new mental pathway is through affirmations. These are simple, positive statements that you repeat to yourself, such as, "I am calm," or "I am worthy of love and success." At first, it might feel strange to say these things. Your mind might argue, "But that's not true." But the more you repeat the affirmation, the more your mind begins to believe it. Over time, these positive statements create new neural pathways in your brain, replacing the old patterns of negativity. Another way to create a new pathway is through mindfulness meditation. In meditation, you observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. You notice when your mind drifts into negative thinking and gently bring it back to the present moment. This practice strengthens your ability to control your thoughts, allowing you to choose which ones to follow and which ones to let go. In Buddhism, There is a concept called right effort. This is the effort to cultivate positive mental states and abandon harmful ones. It's not about forcing yourself to think a certain way, but rather about gently guiding your mind toward what is beneficial. Right effort is the practice of planting seeds of kindness, compassion, and wisdom in the garden of your mind. As you continue to create new mental pathways, you may notice that your reactions to life start to change. You may become less reactive, more patient, and more open-minded. Instead of being swept away by the tide of your emotions, you begin to float calmly on the surface. You no longer feel controlled by your thoughts. Instead, you feel free to choose your response to any situation. This doesn't mean you will never feel angry or upset again. We are human, and emotions are a natural part of life. But when you have created new mental pathways, you can respond to those emotions with awareness and wisdom. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can take a step back and choose how to respond. You might choose to let go of your anger, or to express it in a healthy way. You might choose to focus on the positive aspects of a situation instead of dwelling on the negative. Over time, these new pathways become stronger and more automatic. Your mind becomes a place of peace and clarity where you can navigate life with ease. You begin to see the world through a different lens, one that is more open, compassionate, and wise. The key to creating a new mental pathway is consistency. You must continue to practice day after day until the new path becomes your natural way of thinking. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Eventually, the old pathways of negativity and fear will fade into the background, and the new pathways of peace and wisdom will become your default. This is the power of the mind. It's not fixed. It's not permanent. It can change. And when you change your mind, you change your life. You have the ability to create a new reality for yourself, one thought at a time. So, take a moment to reflect on the mental pathways you've created so far. Are they serving you? Are they leading you to peace, happiness, and wisdom? If not, it's never too late to start creating new pathways. With patience, practice, and awareness, you can transform your mind and your life in ways you never thought possible. Conclusion: the mind as your ally. In the last part of our journey together, we come to a simple but profound truth. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your ally, your greatest tool for transformation. Through the teachings we have shared, you now have the key to unlocking the incredible power that lies within you. The ability to change your mind instantly, to shift your thoughts and emotions, is something that is available to you right now, in this very moment. You may have wondered throughout this series if it's truly possible to change your mind in an instant. Maybe you've questioned whether this can apply to all areas of your life, even in the most difficult situations. The answer is yes. Yes, it is possible. And yes, it can change everything. The mind is like a garden, and you are the gardener. Just as a gardener decides what seeds to plant, you can decide what thoughts to cultivate. Every thought you have is a seed, and when you choose to focus on peaceful, positive thoughts, you allow your mind to blossom into something beautiful. If you plant a thought of anger or frustration, it's like planting a weed. But remember, weeds don't last forever. With mindfulness, you can uproot them just as easily as you planted them. Now, I want you to remember one thing. Change doesn't happen overnight. This skill, this power to change your mind instantly, is built over time. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, you may fall. At first, it might feel difficult and unnatural. But with practice, the act of shifting your thoughts will become second nature. You will no longer have to think about it. You'll simply be able to let go of the things that hold you back and embrace the peace and clarity that come with every new moment. In Buddhism, we speak of the path to enlightenment as a journey that takes patience, persistence, and a willingness to let go of the past. To change your mind instantly is not about forcing yourself to be happy or pretending that negative thoughts don't exist. It's about giving yourself the freedom to release what no longer serves you. It's about recognizing that your thoughts are not permanent. They are like clouds drifting through the sky. They come and go, and you don't have to hold on to every one of them. So, what does it mean to have your mind as your ally? It means you can face any challenge, any obstacle, with the knowledge that your thoughts are within your control. When life throws a curveball, you can respond with clarity and calmness. You can embrace each moment as it comes, without fear or resistance. You can cultivate inner peace, no matter the circumstances. This is the power you've been waiting for. The power to change your mind instantly, to transform your life with the simple choice of where to place your focus. And as you continue to practice, you will begin to see the world differently. You'll see it with eyes that are no longer clouded by anger, fear, or frustration. You'll see it with the clarity of someone who has learned to quiet the mind and listen to the wisdom that arises from within. The true beauty of this practice is that it brings you back to yourself. It helps you reconnect with the essence of who you are, a peaceful, loving, and wise being. The more you practice, the more you will remember that peace is not something you need to find. It's always been there, waiting for you to notice it. Your mind is not a problem to be fixed. It's a tool to be used. And when you use it wisely, it will become your greatest ally. As we bring this series to a close, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. Think about how far you've come, how much your understanding has deepened, and then remember this. The practice of changing your mind is never over. It's a lifelong journey, and each moment is an opportunity to begin again. In the next challenge, when something or someone triggers your anger, remember this practice. When you feel lost in your thoughts, remember to come back to the breath. When life seems overwhelming, remember that you can choose where to place your focus. The more you practice, the more this process will become a natural part of who you are. You are the master of your mind. And with that mastery comes the freedom to live a life of peace, joy, and love. Never forget that you hold the power to transform yourself, to change your mind, and to create the life you've always dreamed of. I want to thank you deeply for joining me on this journey. And as you move forward, may your mind always be your ally. May you find peace in every moment, and may you remember that the power to change is always within you. If you found these teachings helpful, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue to bring you valuable content like this. Thank you once again for being a part of this community. May you walk the path of peace and mindfulness, wherever it may lead, and may your mind always be your greatest ally. This is not the end, but a new beginning. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep growing. The journey continues.